Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be previewing the Gold Cup 2025 being held in the United States of America. 16 teams are in action. These 16 teams are divided into four groups. And myself, along with Christoph, will be dissecting these group and picking our winners that will go through to the quarterfinal stages. Welcome back to the platform, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, much more football is on display this summer. When compared to our usual slow period during the summer, Christoph, we have the Club World Cup. And now we are going to be entertained by the Gold Cup 2025. Talk to us. What can we expect from this tournament?
That depends how you look at it. I don't expect much from this tournament. These are, even though you have teams like Mexico and probably USA who are probably rated highly, um, they would probably be the two star teams of the tournament. But I don't expect much, from either team, to be honest.
I would say look out for Panama and Canada as well, Christoph. Panama are creating a few upset in recent times, in recent tournaments as well. They pretty much went to the finals of the Nations League, and they also beat the US in the latest edition of the was it Copa America. So Panama have been creating some waves, and to me, they are the farm team outside of the big two, you could say. Mexico, the defending champions, but the two teams I'm gonna be looking out for, look out for Panama, look out for Canada, and possibly I would say Jamaica, maybe that dark horse, that sleeping giant Christoph that may come through this time around and upset the apple cart. What says you?
I don't know about that. Jamaica does tend to perform well in the lower stages. They'll even make it to the finals. Not out of the realm of possibility. The problem for them is usually they get to the finals, and I don't know if they're starstruck, shell shock or what, but uh the early stages in these big games, Jamaica tends to generate a lot of chances but cannot finish them, and as such, it comes back to bite them in the remainder of the game. Goals you don't
Well,
score get scored on you. Yeah, they have some new players and you'd say some good finishers in the team
yeah,
now, but
yeah.
it remains to be seen.
Yeah, definitely it remains to be seen. But what I would say is that the personnel is there. When you look on paper, I think this Jamaican team in terms of top-notch club experience, they can be competitive with the best in the CONCACAF region, is what I would say. When you look at the likes of Leon Bailey, for example, he is probably the biggest name in that Jamaican squad. But you also have complementary players such as Demari Gray, for example. He is a former Everton player, now plying his trade over there in the Desert League. So other big names are around. So when you look at it man for man on paper in terms of the quality of the league that these players are participating in, I think Jamaica give themselves an outside chance, an outside opportunity to, as you said, make it to the final and possibly even win it. So I would see them as a potential dark horse entering into this competition. But let's take a closer look at the groups, Christoph, and let's try to break down these groups and make our selection in terms of which teams will advance to the quarterfinal stages. So the first group we have Group A. Group A has Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, and the Dominican Republic. So two teams to advance from this group. Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, Dominican Republic. What says you? What can we expect from these teams? For example, when you look at the Costa Rican team, Christoph, Keylor Navas has come out of retirement to participate in this edition of the Gold Cup. So, possibly that could add some experience as well as galvanize this Costa Rican team. But can they get past the Mexicans or the the Dominican Republic? What says you?
I would personally go with Mexico and Costa Rica for this group. I expect I expect good play from the Dominican Republic. I think they have the potential to go through, but I would go with Mexico and Costa Rica.
Definitely, those are the two ranked teams in this group. In fact, Mexico, defending champions, they are all but a shoo-in to make it to the next round. Of course, their dominance in CONCACAF over recent years, Christoph, have become questionable. They are no longer that formidable opponent with steamroll any competition placed in front of them. So they have shown vulnerability over the period. And I would say the quality in that Mexican team, I believe, is somewhat in decline. While they still have a few top-notch players, the likes of a Jimenez, the likes
Carlos
of a
Vela.
Alvarez, who, captains their team, represents West Ham at the club level. The quality, I would say, have declined over the period, and other teams in CONCACAF has caught up to the Mexicans. So they should advance, but I don't take it for granted. They'll be steamrolling every opponent which comes in front of them. So I am somewhat in agreement with your picks as well. Mexico, definitely. And I think Costa Rica should have enough. This is a Costa Rican team in transition as well, Christoph. I believe 16 of their players were born in the 2000s. So they are a team in transition, a young, youthful look to the team, and they should be looking to make their mark. Dominican Republic, not much from them over the years. And Suriname is a new country on the block in terms of participating in high profile games. Much of their team you could say they have drawn on their international lineage. So much of the Suriname team is of Dutch heritage, Christoph. A lot of players who were born in the Netherlands but have some kind of lineage to Suriname. Those are the players which are representing Suriname. So it could be an interesting team. But I do expect the Mexican team as well as the Costa Rican team to make progress into the next round. But I would say keep an eye on Suriname. It could come down to the sort of quality players they have managed to recruit from the juggernaut, which we know is that Dutch country as it relates to football in prowess. So keep an eye on Suriname, but I do expect Mexico to top the group and Costa Rica to finish second in that zone. Then we move on to Group B, Christoph. Group B has Canada, Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao. So Canada, Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao. How are you seeing this group shaking out?
Sorry. Canada and Honduras.
Canada and Honduras. You're saying you're not giving El Salvador any chance to progress? While
No,
I
it's not.
I agree with the Canadian pick,
It's not that
but
I'm not giving them a choice. I'm just saying who I think. Yeah, El Salvador, I think has the next strongest chance, but I think it will be Canada and Honduras.
mm, I'm gonna support that Canadian pick. I mean, definitely Canada is the standout team. That attack is led by Jonathan David Christophe. He plays his trade over there in the French league, and he is becoming a big name striker in Europe. So he should be leading that Canadian attack. They are, of course, coached by Jesse March, former coach which previously played his trade in the EPL. I believe he was the former coach of Leeds when they got relegated. Uh, Subsequently, he has taken on the Canadian job and has been getting some good result, I would say. Uh, One of their top players, though, Christoph, the Bayern Munich right back,
Alfonso Davis.
Alfonso Davis, is out injured with an MCL injury, I believe. So he may require surgery. And he got injured in, I believe, a World Cup qualifier in March. And he has been on the injury list ever since. So he is going to be a big miss for this Canadian team. However, possibly Christoph, even if he was fit with Bayern Munich participating in the Club World Cup, he may have yet to miss this Gold Cup due to his club commitment with Bayern Munich. So whether fit or unfit, he may have been missing, but in this case, he is definitely out injured and won't be part of this Canadian outfit. But they still have good quality players, and of course, they have a goal machine in Jonathan David. So for sure, definitely, I believe Canada should easily make it out of this group. The second team is where I am a bit uncertain. So I'm gonna go against you in this one, Christopher. I think El Salvador could prove to be a thorn in the side of Honduras. This is a team which oftentimes plays very physical football, and in a tournament of this nature, they may have enough to get them across the line. Possibly a win and a draw may see them through. 4 points could possibly carry them to the second round. So I'm gonna side with El Salvador. Curacao is a young upcoming team, much like the Suriname team, which we spoke about earlier, Christoph. Curacao is a former Dutch colony. So much of the composition of the Curacao team is players from the Netherlands, which have roots or linkage with Curacao and are now representing that small island state. So, ah, I'm not sure what to expect from them. It all depends on the sort of recruiting they do and the sort of quality players they could potentially unlock. So again, they should be an interesting team to watch, even though they are much of an unknown entity. We are more familiar with the Honduras, the El Salvadors, the Canadas. Curacao, not so much, but they are an interesting team. In fact, one of their top players, Christoph, is Cuco Martinez. For those who follow EPL football, I believe he formerly represented Everton, if memory serves me correctly. So he is a player on the Curacao team. I believe he is the man who captains that team. Cuco Martinez, former player for Everton, I believe. And so he does come in the competition with a level of top-notch experience. So again, this Curacao team could be potentially an interesting watch. It all depends on how much quality recruiting that team would have done and bring in these Dutch players, these Netherlands players who have linkages or familiar contact with Curacao. So should be an interesting watch. But my pick officially is Canada and El Salvador. And you're saying Canada and Honduras?
Yes.
Mm. All right. Let's see how Group C lines up. Group C has Panama, Jamaica, Guatemala, and Guadeloupe. So Panama, Jamaica, Guatemala, and Guadeloupe. What says you?
Jamaica and Panama.
Jamaica and Panama. In which order do you think, though?
Jamaica, then Panama.
So Jamaica to finish first.
Right.
Wow, that is a big, bold call right here, Christoph. So you're not giving the Panamanian team any chance of finishing top of the zone, even with their superb form coming into this competition and the
It
run of results they've had over the period?
it's not that I'm not giving them any chance to finish first. I just think Jamaica is again they do well at this stage. They tend to do well. They run riot at these early stages.
Mm.
I guess there is not a lot of pressure on, so they play a bit more free flowing, in my opinion. They take the chances, but yeah, I think Jamaica early stages they will win their group. They'll do a very good job, in my opinion.
Well, for sure. I mean, with Jamaica beating Guatemala recently in a World Cup qualifier, pretty much running riot over that team, 3 goals to nil. Leon Bailey starring in that game, Christoph. I mean, yeah, Jamaica should get the better of Guatemala for sure. Guadeloupe, similarly, again, Guadeloupe falls into that category along with Suriname and Curacao. Again, they are another French-speaking country, so much of their players is drawn from France, Christoph. So players with Guadeloupe sort of linkage who probably live in France but may have had parents, grandparents who are of the nationality of Guadeloupe, they would have been drawn, recruited, and representing Guadeloupe, possibly unable to break into that French team, which we know is full of top-notch players. So I would not discount this team again. It depends on the level of recruiting which has taken place, but they should be an interesting watch. I don't expect them, however, to get the better of the Jamaicans nor the Panamanians. But where I disagree with you, Christoph, is I just think this Panamanian team is in superior form compared to the Jamaican team and it's a much more seasoned team playing together, playing to a system and getting quality results. I just think they are a more confident outfit at this stage of the game. And I do believe they should get the better of this group. I believe, while I do agree that it should be Jamaica and Panama that goes through, I just believe the order in which they advance will be different. I am backing the Panamanians to finish first and the Jamaican team to finish second. In fact, it may come down to that matchup. The match between Jamaica and Panama is definitely one of the games of this round. I do believe both teams should get the better of Guadeloupe and Guatemala. It may very well come down to goal difference.
Agree to disagree.
I mean, but you saw the game versus Guatemala, Christoph. What was the takeaway for you from that match? Jamaica ending that game 3 goals to nil. What was your key takeaway? Does Jamaica have the team that can propel them too deep into this competition in particular?
Jamaica can get deep into the competition. They tend to go deep in these competitions. They
Right,
will,
right.
like I said, they will make it to the finals and make it look easy, but then it's like as if everything that came before all the performances completely gone out the window. You're seeing a completely different team in that final. They don't know how to play football. They don't know how to finish chances. And it's usually after that first 20 minutes. That first 20 minutes, they are excellent. They will dominate the game, they create chances, but then they don't finish them. That is it for me. They can make it to the final. It's what happens when they get to that final that has eluded them for as long as I've watched the Jamaican
Ah,
team.
definitely. I mean, Jamaica is, I believe, I'm not sure. Have they won the Gold Cup before? I can't recall, to be honest. I think a monopoly has been on this Gold Cup between US and Mexico. I believe Canada in maybe the year 2000, somewhere thereabouts, may have won a title, but this competition has been monopolized by Mexico and USA. I believe just one other team outside of those two have won, which is Canada. And that was some years ago, maybe over 25 years ago that
Nope, nobody has won it outside of Mexico and the US.
yeah, are you
Oh,
sure?
Canada in 2000.
Right. That I do
2000
recall
Canada,
Canada
yeah.
winning once. Yes. So
But
outside of
other
US,
than that, it has been Mexico, USA, or USA.
right. That's what I'm saying. I believe Jamaica did make it to the final some years ago, but I believe
Jamaica Jamaica has made it to multiple finals. The one that was not to say the most memorable, but I remember them going to the finals with Mexico, dominating the first 50 minutes, getting the chances, not scoring them, only for Mexico to get a chance, score, and then go on to score. I think it was maybe 2 or 3-0. Score the chances they created to control of the game and then win. But that entire tournament, Jamaica was excellent until the final.
Mhm. Well, I mean, things might turn around this time around. Jamaica has been scoring a few goals. I mean, they got three past Guatemala.
2015 it was 3-1 at Lincoln Field. I think it was played.
Mm, that game
It,
seemed to have left a very distinct mark on you there, Christoph.
right. It was rubbish, rubbish. Because it was a game where I thought Jamaica was going to win. Again, like I said, leading up to the tournament and even throughout the tournament, Jamaica were very dominant throughout, only to make it to the final and somehow just absolutely capitulate. I mean, that was 2015. 2017, Jamaica went to the final again, but this time against the United States, got defeated 2-1. I think that was in California is where that one was held,
Right.
right? After that, 2019 was USA, Mexico, Mexico winning 1-0. I believe after that, 2021, United States, Mexico, United States win 1-0. Last one was 2023. It was Mexico and Panama, and I think Mexico won 1-0.
Right, right. I mean, for sure, but I do believe this Jamaican team, Christoph, I mean, looking at their previous game versus Guatemala, they seem to have unlocked quality new striker. Warner Brown getting on the score sheet twice. And he's a local based player who plays in the JPL, the Jamaican Premier League. McLaren, the new coach, getting his first win at home, seemed to have unlocked a local talent which this Jamaican team could probably ride all the way to the World Cup. What was your take on his performance, Christoph? And was this just a fluke? Or can he take it forward into this Gold Cup competition as well?
Um, he can, of course, he can. The question is, will he be overawed by the what do you call it? The
The
moment,
occasion,
the
the moment,
occasion, the occasion.
possibly the
And
lack of experience could get
we,
the better of him as well.
right, and we've seen this before. If you recall, even that same game I told you about, Mexico versus Jamaica. If I recall, I think the striker at the time was Lawrence.
Lawrence?
Lawrence.
No, no.
I don't,
Lawrence?
I don't,
No,
I
I don't think
can't,
so.
can't, can't
Maybe
recall the name now.
Shelton, Luton Shelton. I'm not
Nah,
sure.
wasn't Luton Shelton,
It
man.
wasn't Luton
But
Shelton.
the striker had
Mm.
played excellent all
Shemar
tournament.
Nicholson?
No, it was definitely something with that L.
Luton Shelton. Luton starts with
Hold
an
on,
L.
hold on, hold on,
I'm
hold
not
on.
sure,
Let's
but
find out.
so
Mexico,
you're saying he was getting a lot of chances for Jamaica, but just
he-
failing to capitalize on
right,
these
and
chances.
he played well entire tournament, right?
Mm.
Only to then, be presented with what I would say clear-cut chances in the
Built his
final.
chances, as you would say.
Clear-cut, it's harder to miss the chances than to score. So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, this time around may be different. The personnel is different. Possibly the level of experience is different. So, as I said, this group, in terms of determining the winner or the second place team, may come down to the matchup between Panama and Jamaica. I do expect Panama to beat Guatemala and beat Guadeloupe, similarly to the Jamaican. So it could be determined by possibly that Jamaica Panama game ends in a draw. Then it would go down to goal difference. Who would have beaten those other two teams by a bigger goal margin. So, interesting times ahead for sure. But much like you, Panama and Jamaica to advance, I just think the order will be different. You're saying Jamaica to finish first. I think it will be the Panama team that will finish first and Jamaica finish second. But we move, Christopher, and we move to Group D. Group D, USA, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago, and Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is an invited team to this Gold Cup. They don't usually play their football in the CONCACAF region, but they are an invitational team, which the
How
Gold
come,
Cup usually facilitates from
how
time to
come we've
time.
never seen the Euros inviting teams?
Well, the European competition is quite different and quite competitive. You have enough teams of a high caliber in the European Confed to really make up
I,
for the numbers.
I think they should invite Argentina and
Well,
Brazil.
it would be, but then you would break the monopoly on the USA and Mexico if that was to occur. So I'm not sure if that will happen. Plus, those teams you speak of, they themselves are currently now participating in World Cup qualifiers as well, and they usually have their own confederation competition, which is
No,
the Copa America from time to
yeah,
time,
yeah.
which
I'm just
Jamaica
saying.
have been invited to, and a couple other teams from CONCACAF. The last edition,
The
I
last
believe,
edition, the USA,
right, four
Jamaica,
teams from
Mexico,
CONCACAF exactly was invited to the Copa
and
America to
was it
make up
Haiti?
the numbers. No, it was Jamaica, USA, Canada, and
Mexico.
Canada, and Mexico. Right, those were the four teams invited. And I would say Canada, especially, really played a really good tournament, to be honest. They were the surprise team. They definitely made their mark in that competition, and they will be pushing to make their mark in this one as well. But looking at this group, Christoph, Group D has USA, Haiti, Trinidad, and Saudi Arabia. My pick, this is a tough group considering the poor run of results that USA have been having over the last 3, 4 games. Most recently, they were strapped, beaten, battered 4-0 by Switzerland, Christoph, and Pochettino, the new coach, is yet to get a win under his belt. I believe that's now three
Not that,
defeats on the
not,
trot for
not,
Pochettino.
not that new, not that new.
I mean, if one of these teams were to get the better of the USA, or if the USA fail to advance, I don't think he has a job at the end of this tournament. What says you?
Maybe, maybe not. It's not like there's a lot. Well, I'm not going to say a lack of managers, but there's another manager who was interested in the job and got turned down for
Who is that, Henry?
Pochettino. Thierry Henry wanted the USA job. Um,
Former Arsenal boss, former Arsenal,
Legend,
you could say legend. Yeah, he
striker,
has a statue outside that
greatest
Arsenal
Premier League player
stadium,
ever.
Chris. No, 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 no,
No,
no, no. Right now, Salah's number is totally outshining Henry. Definitely, check the stats.
um, uh,
Plus, Henry didn't win a Champions League with Arsenal in all these many years as well. So,
we're talking about Premier League, like I said. Thierry
well,
Henry
I
is
mean,
is not that
how
even
many titles did Henry win with
he
Arsenal?
was it three
One?
or four?
I don't know. You tell me, you're the Arsenal man. I mean,
Try
I
for
know
something like
Salah
that.
has
But
won two thus far with
okay,
Liverpool.
okay. I can confirm. Henry have won at least two EPL titles. I
Mm,
have to check the number. I think it's
yeah,
four,
man,
but
check the numbers
a
and get back
minimum.
to us
It
on
has
that.
been at least two, and one of them
Oh, at least two. But
one
definitely, I
of
mean,
them
when you
was
check the
invincible.
individual stats, if you're going by the numbers, Christoph, then when you look at the statistics of a Mohamed Salah versus the statistics of a Thierry Henry, Salah has greater goal assist contributions than Henry, and I believe Salah has more golden boots, if memory serves me right. And
No,
I believe
no.
Salah has also overtaken Henry in terms of the number of goals overall
Henry,
in his
Henry,
EPL career as well.
Henry has the most EPL golden boots.
Well,
Henry has the
check his stats, check his numbers.
Henry has the most golden boots. Henry has the most assists. Henry also has the highest assists ever in the top
Well,
five
we
leagues,
don't want to
still
turn it into
unbeaten.
a
But
debate. Remember, we are trying to keep the focus. This is the
right,
Gold Cup, Christoph.
yeah,
So
it's not a debate. Thierry
my pick
Henry
would be.
is the greatest Premier League player ever.
All right,
Even your
we're gonna have
Liverpool
to return to that
legends say that.
conversation.
So
We're gonna have to return to that conversation. But for now, I'm gonna have to go. It's tight, but I'm gonna go USA, Saudi Arabia, Christoph. I'm gonna go USA, Saudi Arabia. I think the Trinidadian team is a pretty weak team, and I would put them on the same level as Haiti, to be honest. So I think those are two of the weaker teams in this group. So I would say those two teams won't advance, and I'm gonna go US, Saudi Arabia. So Pochettino should get his first win in this competition, even though a number of the more high-profile players, Christoph, won't be participating in this tournament. The likes of Pulisic, he's not participating. Giovanni Reina, Bologan is out as well. So a number of high-profile names. McKennie, he's also out, not participating in this tournament. What it does do is open up the door for a number of other players to get their opportunity, but in terms of some of the more household United States player names, which we are used to, they are out of this competition, whether through injury, whether through club representation in the FIFA Club World Cup, or have opted not to participate. So a number of young players should be coming through, or less familiar names, but I still feel they should have enough quality to bring them to the second round. What says you? Who are your two picks for this round?
go again. What was this? What was the question?
Uh, USA, Haiti, Trinidad, Saudi Arabia. Which two goes through?
USA, I think. But given, like we said, the poor form under Pochettino, somewhat of a question mark. But I would go with USA as a team, not necessarily to top it. And then it would be so three teams for me potentially: USA, Trinidad, Saudi Arabia could go through.
Mm,
I want to say USA because they do tend to do well when
right.
it comes to these competitions. Like uh
As well as history is on their side.
history's on their side. They do shockingly better than I
Plus, it's
anticipate
being played
all the
on home
time.
soil as well.
That last World Cup I did not expect USA to even make it out of the group, so shocking. Um
Well, I mean, they were in the group with England, right?
yeah.
Yeah, once you're in a group with England, then
Um
there's
so
always a chance.
I think it's out of those three teams, but I think first choices would be Saudi Arabia and US. Saudi Arabia have really impressed me at the World Cup in their game against Argentina. If not for, potentially a dubious penalty in that game, they
Well,
would
I'm
have
not
won.
sure about dubious. You're talking about the team that went on to win the World Cup. I'm
That
not
that
sure where
that team received
dubious comes
six.
into play.
That team received about six or eight dubious penalty, receiving a
Well, I
penalty in
mean,
every
you
single game.
have to put yourself in the position for the referee to make a decision, Christoph. That's what other teams need to be doing. Put the referee on the spot to make these calls. If you're not doing that, then you're not playing the game correctly. But so your call then would be USA and Saudi Arabia to advance officially.
Right.
So looking ahead then, Christoph, which team is your pick to lift this Gold Cup? What's your early prediction in terms of which team will come out the winners of the 2025 Gold Cup?
Um, I think I think potentially four teams are in with a strong shout. I think even though Mexico you would say has declined, I think you still have to put Mexico there. They have the experience in the competition. Um, I want to say the USA, but I just don't feel that they are very, despite having some good players there, that I don't feel like they're very good. Um, so Mexico, I think Saudi Arabia potentially, Jamaica, and then I guess just because of the history, I'd put USA, four teams with the potential to win it.
Mm,
I
ah,
feel like I feel like I want to say
mm.
Jamaica will make it to the finals, but anything can still happen. But potentially Jamaica to make it to the finals is what I would go with.
I would say my four teams, my four semi-finalists, I'm not even having the USA in there to be honest. I just think this US team is on a rotten run, and this rotten run will continue. For me, the team that I am looking most uh favorable to look at, to be honest, are more most excited to see is the Panama team, Christoph. That team has been doing well. They made it, as you mentioned, to the Nations League final, getting the better of that United States team. So Panama and Jamaica, and I'm gonna go with Mexico and Canada, Christoph. Those are my four teams that I'm looking at in that semi-final zone, depending on the matchups. Depending on the matchups. If those four teams can actually make it through, then I feel they will make it through, depending on the matchup. If they don't have to face each other somewhere along the lines where they'll have to knock each other out. So it all depends on the draw and how these teams finish. But those are the four teams that I'll be looking at. I think the winner will come from those four: Mexico, Jamaica, Panama, and Canada. Those are my four. And I'm going to go out on a limb, to be honest, Christoph. I am going to go out on a limb. I'm going to back Jamaica to win this tournament, Christoph. Uh, this is me going out on a limb. History will tell us it will be either be cannot well, it will either be Mexico or USA. That's what history tells us. Canada has an outside chance since they won it once. So it's hard to fathom that a team outside of that three will win it. But stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened, and there's always a first time for everything. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and back this Jamaican team. I think the team has improved over the period. This Gold Cup will act as a catalyst to help build that chemistry, help build that gel, help build that glue, which bring this team together. And if Leon Bailey can repeat his performance versus Guatemala and bring along other players with him, such as Warner Brown, who is a new sensation on the block, banging in goals, youngsters such as Dixon trying to make their mark, and defenders such as that kid from Cavaliers, who have been getting some. His name have been called in Europe, possibly making a move to a English team or a Scottish team. I'm hearing if those players can step up to the plate, then Jamaica has all the ingredients. Where I am concerned for Jamaica, though, is still in that midfield area. They still need a quality linchpin in there, but it's possible. So I'm gonna back the Jamaican team, Christoph. Possibly just youthful exuberance or national bias. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jamaican team. But for sure, I think the winner will come from those four. Mexico, Panama, Jamaica, and Canada. I'm not giving US any chance in this one, to be honest. But any final thoughts, Christoph, as we quickly wrap up, as we are quickly running out of time? Any final thoughts on this Gold Cup competition?
Um, Potentially a good competition where some entertaining football will be played. Sadly, however, I feel like the competition will be overshadowed by the Club World Cup and it
Well,
might
to be
not get the
honest, I
viewership.
think the games sync quite nicely, Christoph. No games are clashing, and you could watch a Club World Cup game and then watch the Gold Cup, or vice
Right,
versa.
but here's the thing: everybody knows the Club World Cup is being played, so the Gold Cup probably don't even come to mind. They're not thinking about it. So
Mm.
potentially you're overshadowing the competition.
Well, if when I look at my schedule, I'm looking at watching a Club World Cup game, taking an hour break, grab a drink, have a shower, and then jumping back into watching the Gold Cup. So to me, they mesh well as a package, as a scheduled package. And I'm just looking forward to how the football rolls this summer, especially it's happening in the United States. So all eyes should be on the United States as a football fan come this summer. But viewers and subscribers, that's all the time we have. Christoph, thanks again for sharing your thoughts and your opinions. Viewers, thanks for tuning in to us. If you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. Continue to like, share, leave us your comments. Who do you think will win the Gold Cup? Can Jamaica do it? Will there be a new winner? But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.